Coming live from the neighborhood, you are listening to Hapi Hood The Podcast, where we deliver meaningful content to inspire, uplift, and empower. Hey neighbor, it's your favorite neighbor, Jay Murray, lifestyle coach with a passion for helping others embrace self-worth and live a life of fulfillment. Welcome to the neighborhood. It's Hapi Hood The Podcast.
Finish
Message.
what you start.
Let's go. The neighborhood. Welcome back to the neighborhood, friends. Welcome to Monday Leadership here on Hapi Hood The Podcast. I'm your favorite neighbor, Jay Murray. I want to thank you for joining us, for tapping into another edition of Monday Leadership. You know, this is where we build today's habits for a successful tomorrow, because we know leadership is not a title, it's a choice. It's a choice that we make on a daily basis and sometimes even throughout the day, to have integrity, to manage change, to build trust and collaboration, to show humility. These are all the different things that we have to take time to decide, to be intentional and say that, hey, I'm gonna be a leader today. I'm gonna be a leader today. You know, I want to do a part 2 of our episode from last week, and I hope you enjoyed it. We talked about a mindset that help us to go slow to go fast, help us to put that go slow to go fast practice into fruition, to bring it to fruition. And we talked about a mindset that can help us. You know, we're dealing with just being, we're dealing with so many different things. We've been pulled in so many different directions. Maybe we're feeling overwhelmed. And what can we do, or how do we practice going slow to go fast concept? Well, we adopt a mindset of just win the day, just win the day, just get a first down. And we talked about far as 3 habits that helps us to develop that mindset. 1, planning. 2, ruthless prioritization. And 3, celebrating the small wins. So today I want to provide another mindset that can again help us in those seasons where, hey, we're dealing with so much different things. Before I do that, hey, do me a favor, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button so you can be in the know. And, you're not new to this. This truly helps us out. It really helps out our podcast. And you know what? Also, feel free of sharing this with someone that you believe that can definitely benefit from this content. So, we talked about, again, the mindset of going slow, or the mindset of just win the day, when we are needing to just go slow to go fast. We're just dealing with so much different things. We're feeling overwhelmed. Our anxiety is at a high and we just need to slow down. Well, another thing I want to talk about, again, just a season that I have been in not too long ago, where I just felt very fatigued, very tired, very tired around my passion. I question, my calling. I question what I'm doing. I was in a very foggy place. Things was very, very blurred to me. And I believe we all have times like that, right? Where we are going after our goals, our dreams, and we believe that we have a passion for these things, but we also have moments and seasons where we become very passion fatigued, where the love of it is just not there anymore. It becomes work. And it was definitely times where, especially with the Hapi Hood and with my entrepreneur ventures, that it felt like work. And I never wanted to get to that place, that it felt like work. Now, that doesn't mean that sometimes, yes, there's some things that we need to do that are just not enjoyable. Let's just be honest. They're not enjoyable. Those things we need to do in order for us to continue to build momentum, to continue to thrive, right? So we know that those things definitely exist. But overall, it just the joy of it was dying out, And when I thought about it, or as I have time to reflect on those that time, I'm glad I went through that moment. I'm glad I went through that times of where I call it just a valley. You know, you in a season of, are you in a valley season? And as I look back on it, I'm thankful because it got me back to some basics, some basics, and we're going to be talking about that with was the habits of us, of the mindset that we need to have, and the habits that we need to drive on a daily basis and build and develop. We're going to talk about that. So before I get into that, just as some additional context, as I was preparing for this episode, and at first, family, I was really trying to kind of bring all this into one episode, in which I wasn't going to do that because that would have been over an hour, and no, it wasn't going to be helpful. So we're going to do this in bite size, right? Going slow to go fast. And when I thought about, the whole going slow to go fast, and, just kind of meditating on it, and now, having moments to reflect, I came across, or I was listening to a sermon, and a verse that the preacher said really stood out to me. And I had to kind of go back and really meditate on it. And it was Galatians 6:9. And it says, "And let us not be weary in well doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not." If we faint not. And as I thought about that, I was like, wow, I need to make sure I have that hanging up somewhere, right? Because it is in the season, or in the season that I was, and maybe you can relate to like these moments or the seasons where, if we just don't faint, if we just keep going on, if we just keep putting one foot in front of the other, right? If we stay focused, if we stay consistent, if we stay committed, then you know what? We'll be able to get through this. It's not a matter of when it's going to happen. I mean, it's not a matter of if it's going to happen, just a matter of when it's going to happen, of when it's going to happen, right? So we can't get caught up in certain things. We can't get caught up with what it looks like. We can't get caught up with how it feels. We can't get caught up with some of the results. We just got to keep doing what we're doing each day, each day. And from that, from that verse, and having moments to meditate, is, you know what? It was a confirmation I needed, to where, as I think about, and I know there's going to be more times, even throughout this year, that I'm going to have moments of just, I'm tired. I got to hang on to that verse. And it helped me to think through the mindset, another mindset that we can adopt around going slow and go fast. And that is, finish what you start. Finish what you start. Now, if you are new to the channel, this may be your first time hearing that phrase. But if you're not new to that channel, if you're not new to Happy Hood, you already know this is our mantra here at Happy Hood. This is our mantra. Finish what you start. It is a foundation of what Happy Hood was built upon. It was a sermon that my father did some 20 odd years ago. And it was during a time where I was going through a transition from college to the real world. And like, like many of us that have graduated from college the last 10 to 15 years, and we can remember back that time when we graduated, and maybe we had a job, maybe we didn't. For me, I didn't have a job, and I was just like, oh wow, this is the real world. This is the real world. And it was a wake-up call. It was a wake-up call. But hearing that sermon and certain things that my father said at the time helped me to understand, finish what you start. That God has a plan for us, and he's going to make sure that we see it through. If we faint not. If we faint not, right? So it helped me to really stay whole, stay consistent, just to continue to be committed to the goals that I have for myself, right? And even fast forwarding to Happy Hood, like, we want to be, I wanted to have that as a mantra, because it's something that it provides a line of sight and a vision towards building communities that are centered around health, honoring our mind, body, and spirit, agape, demonstrating God's love to the world, purpose, living a life of purpose, of a godly purpose, and integrity, living through stewardship. So all those things there, which those are acronyms for Happy Hood, was something that I wanted to make sure that I continue to do. That I continue to have that as, this is what I got to finish. This is what I got to finish. So finish what you start is the mindset. Now, when we think about mindset, and I had to kind of do a little bit of research, I came across an article, and it said that, a mindset can be pretty much summed up in three things. It is what we think, feel, and behave. It is how we think, feel, and behave. So I want that to kind of, again, be the foundation, right? And be the backdrop and the lens that we use to discuss this. Okay. To discuss this. So finish what you start is the mindset. What are the habits that we need to develop, that we need to do on a daily basis? Well, the first habit I want to talk about is clarity, developing clarity. How can this be a habit? Well, one thing for me, when I have had moments of where things are just getting blurry, where I'm having moments where I'm just kind of, I'm just not having the right focus, I always have to go back to why I'm doing this in the first place. And that's the clarity. Like understanding what is your why. Remember the why. Remember why you started that job in the first place. Remember why you started that business. Remember why you got married. What was the why? Remember what the why you had for your family, you know, allowing that to be the heartbeat of your family. Remembering that, right? And having that level of clarity, having a why, we now become anchored. We become anchored to the purpose. We become anchored to the reason. We become anchored to the why we're doing it, why we're doing it. And, one thing that we can do here as far as the habits, right, is first and foremost, write down your why, write it down. Write down your why. And you should have it written down at a place that you see it on a constantly. You see it constantly. You see it almost every day. Maybe it's on your mirror. Maybe it's in your hallway. Maybe you got it framed up in your bedroom. You see it constantly because it's going to be a constant reminder of why you're doing it. It's your anchor. It's your anchor. And many times when we're dealing with the season of, I call it passion fatigue, we're dealing with the season where I'm tired. The joy of it is dying out. The love of what I was doing is just, I don't have the love for it no more. That is, we have to become re-anchored to our why. And the habit that we need to really form here is writing down our why if we haven't already, having it at a place that we see it constantly, and allowing it to be a constant reminder to what we're doing, why we're doing it, who we doing it for, what is the impact, what is the level of fulfillment that this will bring to us. That's the why. That's the why. So we want to write down our why, and we want to ever so often, if it's every day, that's good. But ever so often, go read that why. Go meditate on that why. Go sit with that why and allow it to refresh you, allow it to rejuvenate you, Allow it to provide clarity to why you're doing something, to the why. All right. Let's go to the next one. The next one is commitment. Again, finish what you start as the mindset. How do we adopt a mindset, finish what you start when we're dealing with seasons where we're tired, right? We're going through a passion fatigue. We're not seeing the results that we thought, that we expected that we should see. We are dealing with setback. We're in a valley. First, clarity. Second, commitment. Now, when I thought about commitment, you can look at it in a lot of different ways, right? The first way that I thought about commitment is understanding like the habit of how do we form these micro habits to continue to stay committed, right? What can we do to help us to stay committed towards the process, right? And it is a level of one, moving from motivation to now you become disciplined. You become disciplined in your approach, right? And again, when you become disciplined and promote, sometimes it's not always going to be enjoyable. I mean, let's just be for real, right? But when we think about the habits that we can form with this, what I think of is one, each day you should have a non-negotiable, one non-negotiable. That one non-negotiable can be like, you know what? At this time, let's say I'm going to work out today. That's a non-negotiable. That's a non-negotiable. Another non-negotiable, you know what? I'm going to spend an hour on that report, right? Non-negotiable. Non-negotiable, I'm going to spend an hour on, let me just follow up with people. Let me just continue to network with people, right? These things can be your non-negotiable. One thing that is non-negotiable. As you plan out your day, I'm gonna stay committed to this one non-negotiable. One non-negotiable, I'm gonna eat healthy today. Today I am going to eat nothing but vegetables. That can be your one non-negotiable, right? As you can see, these micro habits, right, that we can form that helps us to stay committed. That we're not trying to do 10 or 12 different things in one day. We just got one non-negotiable. Okay. We just got one non-negotiable. Another way of looking at this, another habit that we can form, again, having the mindset of finish what you start. A mindset is how we think, feel, and behave, right? Another way that can help us to really prime our thinking and our thought is affirmations. And you can write just a simple affirmation, and it can be an affirmation to help you stay committed. You say, today I am committed to um, reading my Bible, right? I'm committed to spending 1 hour a day and reading my Bible. Today I will be committed to reading my Bible and spending 1 hour doing that, right? Another way you can look at this is today I will be committed to working out for 30 minutes. Today I will be committed to calling my friends and checking up on my grandmother, right? You know how busy we get sometimes, right? Today I will be committed to not avoiding arguments and unnecessary things with my wife or husband, whatever the case may be, right? Today, I will be committed. I will be committed with having a good attitude when I go to work. Today, I will be committed to listening to my wife and my kids. Today, I will be committed to listening to my coworkers. Today, I'll be committed to listening in the meeting. and holding my opinions till the end of the meeting, right? So you can use different affirmations, right? That's just examples to help you stay committed, to help you stay committed. Another way of looking at this as we think about, again, these habits that we can form. I think another underlying habit that we can form when it comes to committed is prioritizing. Now, we talked about this a little bit with ruthless prioritization, but I think it's, again, there's a level of commitment that we can do to it, as we can do with it, as well as relates to a mindset of finish what you start. And that is some of us. And again, this is some of the, when we think about, again, having a, taking a moment to step back. And now that I have had taken a moment to step back and reflect on last year and just, certain things that went on, some of it was kind of self-inflicting. Some of them was very self-inflicting because when it comes to commitment, we have to understand that we can't be committed to everything. And when we understand that, we can now pinpoint, understand of why we may not have the level of focus and clarity towards our goals, and why we're in this valley in the first place, and why we are feeling tired in the first place, because we simply can't be committed to everything. We can't. We can't be committed to here with this organization. We can't be committed with that. We can't be on a was that PTA board. We can't be on this board. We volunteering over here. Or hey, we done did have provided, or we done take in too many clients. Trying. We can't be committed to everything. And it wasn't necessary we lack the energy, or we lack the zeal with our passion. It was that we were just overcommitted. We were just overcommitted. So all these other things sucked our passion out. It sucked our joy out, right? To where we didn't have enough energy, enough mental fortitude to now work on what we needed to work on, right? And we just simply became overcommitted. We overcommitted. And again, a habit that we need to form when we're, again, thinking about commitment, and as relates to finishing what we start and going slow to go fast, right? These layers to this, right? We get into the root, right? We get into the root, and hopefully you can kind of see that, get into the root of how we do this on a daily basis. Commitment. And one way of doing it, we got to prioritize, and we got to understand, what am I going to be committed to, and what certain things, once again, it's okay to say no. No, no, I don't have time for it. No, thank you, but thank you, but no, thank you. I got to make sure I focus on this. Commitment, commitment. The third thing is consistency. Consistency. Now, as I was thinking about this, and again, think about from the mindset perspective of how we think, feel, and behave. Consistency for me, and especially when I thought about through what I was going through, and again, now having time to reflect and think about it more. Consistency is the character builder that I know I need to demonstrate throughout my life. There's areas in my life I'm not consistent in. Like, I lack consistency, right? And one thing that habit that we need to develop that helps us to adopt the mindset, finish what you start, as relates to consistency, is that we need to have accountability partner. We need to have accountability partner. And you know what? I thank God for one of my accountability partners, my wife, that I know she can be very honest with me, even when I don't really want to hear it, that she can be very objective and really call some things out, because again, we may feel like, hey, I'm consistent, I'm doing this, I'm doing all this stuff, but really we're not. We become very blind, in our own things. We form a bias within ourselves, around ourselves, and we need others to help us stay consistent. And having an accountability partner does that. So I encourage you to develop that habit of having an accountability partner to really provide the things that we don't see, to provide the feedback that we don't see, right? Because we blind to it, right? We have a tunnel vision. And if we want to stay consistent and we want to build character, right, around consistency, we need accountability partner that's going to be very objective and help us see these blind spots. Help us see these blind spots that we have. Help us see these blind spots that we have. Another way of looking at this, and as I was thinking about consistency and like what does it look like? Consistency is following the process, right? You have a process that you follow, approach that you follow when you're doing XYZ. And that of itself helps you to stay consistent. When I was a former leader, and leading a team about 12 or 15 people, one thing that always stood out to me was those individuals on my team that was very consistent with their performance. And again, when you're coaching in this particular team, it was we were held accountable for certain metrics as relates to positioning certain products, right? So it was very somewhat kind of sales. And one thing that I noticed with those individuals on my team that I led, that always had the top numbers, is that they were very consistent in their approach that they took when they interacted with clients. They was very consistent in, hey, here's the process that I take. And many of us, if we're honest with ourselves, right? If we're very, very honest with ourselves, we lack a process. We lack a flow of how we do XYZ. And at times we are pretty much just all over the place. We experiment with this, we experiment with that, we do this, we do that, and we don't have a consistency, a process, you know. When I had at one point I had a coach that was a brand coach, and one thing they taught me, like far as like posting and different things like that. And one thing that always stood out to me in our coaching session is that one thing that used to be very um I guess with posting, like one thing that just frustrated me is just like how do you do it? Like what's I gotta do this? It just felt very overwhelmed, right? And maybe you've been there too, right? For those that are content creators, it's very overwhelmed. But one thing that she helped me to understand is like it's only overwhelmed when you don't have a process, when you don't have a ABC, process. That's only when it feel overwhelmed. But if you have a process that you follow, this is how you stay consistent. And as we know, when like far as posting, if you post for certain days, then you're able to move up in the algorithm, and that is based on a process, a consistent process that you follow. So when we are building a habit of consistency, again, finishing what we start, and to drive, to have a practice of going slow to go fast. Consistency, have a process. What is your process? And many times, again, if we are very honest with ourselves, the reason that we having these moments where we're swirling, we have these moments where, we may feel fatigue, is because we have deviated from the process. We haven't deviated from the process because it could be we're not seeing the results that we're not seeing, and we feel, hey, let me just change just for the heck of changing. But if we faint not, and we stay consistent in our process, we shall reap what we sow. We shall reap what we sow. So we talked about clarity, commitment, consistency. These are the habits, and within these different habits, there's these levels or things that we can do on a daily basis to help us develop clarity, to help us develop commitment, to help us to develop consistency, to adopt a mindset of finish what you start. That will help us when we are having seasons and moments where we're feeling very passion fatigue. We may be experiencing a setback. We may be experiencing, moments of where I thought I expected the business to grow, more than what I'm seeing. I expected to be in this job. I'm performing, I'm providing outstanding results, but I'm still just not getting anywhere. I'm showing up for the relationship, but it's still not going anywhere. Go slow to go fast. How we do that? We adopt a mindset of finish what you start. Develop clarity. Develop commitment. Develop consistency. Building today's habits for success for tomorrow. Because we know leadership is not a title. It's a choice. It's a choice that we make throughout the day, daily, every second. We make these choices to say, you know what? I'll be a leader in this situation. I'll be a leader in this moment. Hey, till next time, family, love God, love yourself, love your neighbor. I'm your favorite neighbor, Jay Murray. Be blessed.